taking place at 2 p.m. today, presented by the Finance Minister. So we'll touch base with the Budget Justice Coalition and hear their thoughts around what's to be expected come later on today. We also have a look at the 99 People's Summit. The world belongs to the many and not just a few. We're going to be in conversation with the African Climate Foundation's new economy hub around that. And of course, we'll try and squeeze in some arts and culture as well by way of stages, pages, screens, and more. Let's take a quick pause and then we'll be right back.
You could spend 10 minutes hunting for the TV remote or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. SMS out to 30754. Like 29-year-old Sana, who now pays an incredibly low 796 Rand a month for her 2025 Jatura Dashing. With Outsurance Comprehensive, you get 24/7 roadside assistance in case you break down, run out of petrol, lock your keys in the car, and more. SMS out to 30754. Get used to getting more. After switching, 65-year-old Helena now pays only 398 Rand a month for her 2025 Hyundai Exter. Not an Outsurance client yet? Get a quick and easy quote today. If Outsurance can't beat what you're paying, ask them for 500 Rand. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you have nothing to lose. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. Limits apply.
So, you switched to a different brand of sun protection. And you're still getting vitamin E and UV filters for high sun protection and a safer summer. Plus long-lasting water-resistant skin protection that's approved by skin specialists and the Cancer Association. That's because you made a clever switch to Click's Sun Protect products with Click's trusted quality and great value. When you switch, it just clicks. Switch and save only at Clicks.
Attention everybody. Diabetes affects millions of people in South Africa. Akwele is inviting everyone to unite for a healthier tomorrow. Our mission? To beat diabetes together. How? Get tested. Choose water. Eat healthy. Get active. Every bottle of Akwele natural spring water you buy makes a difference. Together, let's beat diabetes.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
All righty, we are going to chat now to the chairperson of the Budget Justice Coalition, Matshidiso Lingwasa, and we're talking around the midterm budget that is coming through today. It is expected to be delivered at 2 p.m. by the Finance Minister, Minister Enoch Godongwane. And of course, we thought we'll catch up with the Budget Justice Coalition, find out their thoughts around today's projections and perhaps some areas of concern. Matshidiso, how are you doing today?
Afternoon it is. I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for the time. Much appreciated. Let's talk the midterm budget 2025. Let's get your sense of today and today's projections. What is to be expected from the minister?
Yeah, so as the Budget Justice Coalition, for us, we are most concerned about a budget that really builds a public sector that can build a nation in turn. And so we're looking to interventions or adjustments and projections over the medium term by the finance minister that can prioritize putting South Africans at the heart of it. So really looking at interventions that can say, you know what, this is what happens here as a country. Of public finances to ensure that we address the pressing issues in this country, economic issues that are being faced by people in this country, notably the persistent poverty, persistent unemployment, and inequality in our country as per the G20 report that the president has launched.
Now, speaking about those persistent issues, right? Unemployment, the stagnant economy, and the rise in just the cost of living for general South Africans. What would be the critical interventions that should really be urgently addressed and made way for to give that immediate relief to South Africans?
Yeah, so again, for us, our advocacy has been around seeing what has been the cause of problems ordinary South Africans have faced. And over the past decade, unfortunately, our government has prioritized spending or disinvesting in education and health, in social protection, and all the areas that ordinary South Africans, millions of South Africans engage with the economy. And so what that has meant, I mean, they've reprioritized funding that should be going towards education and health to servicing our debt, first of all, but also to bailing out it is the ordinary and most marginalized learners and healthcare users and public sector users who have borne that brunt. So we're hoping, I think, finance minister had considered in the is one of the many iterations of the budget last year. So at the beginning of the year, rather, the series was not working. So we're looking at some adjustments that better reflect that they want to invest hiring more nurses, more teachers, more doctors in the public sector, and really just build the public sector that can work for people in our country. Also, we must see interventions around job creation, for example. We see like I said, hiring more nurses, doctors, teachers, and but better capacitating the state because it's delivering. You know, there are millions of young people in this country who are willing and ready to serve the country. The opportunities in the economy are really not there. So really just looking to take better position of fiscal policy, not as a victim of the challenges of our economic of economic hardships, and rather solutions to it. I really hope that National Treasury and our government has heeded the call after many iterations of the budget this year, and that is the direction that we take it.
Mm. Is it a bit of a contradiction for the government to then, on the one hand, talk about reinvesting back into sectors like education and health and prioritizing domestic matters and matters like employment and creating an environment that is conducive to industries in the country, but simultaneously South Africa just announced that it secured a $925 million loan from the World Bank to rebuild ailing cities. Does that then speak to we once again going to be servicing debt versus putting the money where it needs to be put?
I think you're absolutely right. That is one of the big concerns that we have, like as ordinary countries, as a society, is that it feels as though there's some often one step or two steps back when it comes to economic policy in our country. So you mentioned the loans that we're taking, loans that we're taking from the World Bank, and how that affects the impact that has is that the South African rand has not been strong. Weakening all the time. So when we take on foreign debt, what it becomes more expensive to service that debt, and that debt is debt that is expensive. We should be reallocated back in ordinary South Africans, improving the lives of ordinary South Africans. And yet that money will be likely going to rich investors, and then also the impact that they have on our public policy, the push towards like the austerity and budget cuts that are happening outside, which just really reflects how people are there's so much intervention that the country has been taking
Mm.
to impress international lenders, to impress international markets, and to impress Washington, for instance, and remove it on the grey list, which is a good thing. But we'd like to see some intervention in terms of the in growing, in building and investing in South Africans and rebuilding the trust of ordinary South Africans. And I think there's an opportunity for that. Instead of that inconsistent, incoherent, one step forward, two steps that kind of policy, but actually a policy that shows vision and direction over the medium term.
Mm. Some of the key priorities that have often been spoken about is, matters around addressing our spending pressures, as we've touched on, the infrastructure investment or lack thereof, as well as public service wage agreements. I
Mm.
mean, is there wiggle room here for the minister to really address some of these top five burning issues in this midterm budget?
Yeah, so I think with regards to whether there's room or not, I think that the point of our should be urgency in that because, one would have to ask ourselves if you know, us paying taxes at the way that we do as people in this country, be it VAT, be it fuel levy, what is the point of all of that if it's not going towards building public sector that can serve ordinary South Africans, you know? So, so there are communications. I think has been removed from the grey list. That could be quite positive if it actually translates into the savings going back to ordinary public. So that we're removed from the grey list would mean that they would be a lot cheaper than it has. That more finances of the country. I think another positive indication is that parties collected more tax contribution, which is also because of the capacity. They took seriously building the capacity of to collect revenues in more sophisticated ways to ensure that people are not disproportionately carrying the burden of the tax burden from people who are ultra rich people
Mhm.
that are escaping paying their sentences. There are some indications and there are some opportunities, but ultimately that should be the priority because there's no point, in our view, that there's no point to the budget piece. There's no point to even an economy to better the lives of the millions of people in this country.
Absolutely. Matsiri, so if you could address the minister and table one thing that he should get right ahead of this speech, what would that one thing be?
Sure. I mean, there's so much to choose from, but I think off the top of my head, as a young black woman in this country, I know that the challenges like the challenge of unemployment, poverty as well, is disproportionately borne by us. So young black women consider the face of unemployment. I think there's room for government to take up greater political will in addressing that. So I would love to see the minister actually addressing that and expanding for public and servant programs so that they can go into better opportunities for young people to participate in the economy, but also make perhaps interventions around hiring more nurses, more teachers, and creating more opportunities for young people who are even qualified, and willing and able to serve our country, but we just don't have those opportunities. I also see this as a win-win. Once they start participating, this will also improve the quality of our education and our health system. But it also means that they will be able to flexible income that to grow and to contribute to the system and actually grow our economy. Those are the interventions. So the intervention that I would most love finance minister, I think also doubling down that austerity is bad. They
Mm.
also something that was for our coalition as well.
Awesome. Matsiriso, we appreciate the time. That was Matsiriso Lingwasa, who is the chairperson of the Budget Justice Coalition. It's fast approaching 20 past 1 o'clock. We're going to hit the pause button here for a second, and then we'll be back on the other side.
Streaming Skim Sum on the way to class,
Catching the Premier League while waiting for your order
jamming to Metro FM before you even get out of bed,
on SABC Plus. Sinayo yonke into ifunayo. Your shows, your music, your way, anytime, anywhere. Zero subscription fees.
on your phone, tablet, or smart TV.
Download SABC Plus on iOS or Google Play Store.
You could spend 10 minutes hunting for the TV remote or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For her 2024 Kia Picanto, 52-year-old Janine now only pays 561 Rand a month. And for her 2025 Jatura Dashing, 29-year-old Sana pays just 796 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Extraordinary is built on innovation, and Vodacom Business is leading the way. Cloud that scales with your business, security that earns trust, AI for smarter, faster decisions, IoT that connects systems and people, and connectivity that bridges every gap. With these technologies working together, Vodacom Business is helping to build a better connected, future-ready South Africa. Visit vodacombusiness.co.za. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business, further together.
SAFM invites you to our third annual public lecture delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser Moligeti. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November at the Indaba Hotel Spa and Conference Center in Fourways, Johannesburg, under the theme Confronting Inequality, Corruption and Unemployment, Rebuilding South Africa's Social Contract for Inclusive and Sustainable Growth. You can secure your seat by emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za.
You are listening to the Full Circle.
All right. Our next conversation is with Sikwatlane Pamori, who is the lead for the African Climate Foundation's New Economy Hub. And we are talking the 99 Peoples Summit. The world rather belongs to the many and not the few. So we'll unpack exactly what that means and what the summit is all about on the heels of the G20 that is happening in just a few days. Sikwatlani, how are you doing this afternoon?
Hi, Bridget. I'm well, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for the time. Much appreciated. I guess first and foremost, let's get some context around the African Climate Foundation's New Economy Hub.
Well, the New Economy Hub uh, movement, um, social organization to really build the foundation for social and sustainable South Africa. What is that? Well, we really look at how the climate emergency affects all aspects of the economy, what is required then to respond to that, the when it comes to economy and our society, and then we engage and co-create with partners around how everything that can look at intervention are locally led, safe, and are the country we are in.
Now, obviously, we're going to see quite a bit of activity ahead of the G20 summit that is taking place in the city. And I know that movements from across the continent, as well as the global south, have gathered under your banner of We the 99. Tell us a bit more about We the 99 People Summit concept.
Mm. As we know, the G20 leadership summit the way from and
Mm,
in fact, Russian all of the summit 20. Um, the G20, as we know, is made up of 20 large countries supported all people the majority will. However, it is very much the control of minority will, building this corner, largely in North America and Europe. Europe. We often find that of minority will are the
mm,
ones with the made of economy, uh,
mm,
with people, uh, the country, or train development for people of the world.
mm,
These are the big you see that and the and how it's downward real economy, national and hyper-local, much say that much the
mm,
what we are saying as as we find some economic is that we have to organize our people of the world see locally engaged way. So you know, he actually deadline against what is here thinking and about how it is with one of our government to levy wealth tax on one which will then mobilize public finance that is required to pay for public infrastructure, climate infrastructure that is required, that we're speaking about,
Mm.
in order to smooth climate emergency drive, thinking both and our country, the country. It's about seeing how the debt has rigged to extract wealth out of the of already rigged and of the have Europe and North um, continue to colonize us in various ways, because see our local industries, our local economy, our support. But
Mm.
also about recognizing ourselves, principally say, recognizing and acknowledging uh, how we do action, how we value action, right? How we care for our young children, how we care for the elderly, in the real economy as well as in macroeconomic thinking and planning. It's about how we plow back into public comprehensive in order to have our system able to plow back into the economy as we're saying
Yeah.
earlier. So what we just recognize now is defining what the monthly really need to look like, where we should focus our all long run with uh, the wisdom of the people, the state, some really impact wealth of.
Yeah. And let me ask you in our final 2 minutes. So obviously, you are galvanizing peoples from around the continent and the global south in support and to rally behind the mission and the movement. And how are you asking folks to participate, particularly perhaps those who may not be able to physically attend any of the sort of isolated shows of protest is what I was
Mm,
looking for. Mm.
sure. So first and foremost, the summit um, 19 will be 20th, second. So that's Thursday today. So, uh, a organization
Mm.
coming from parts of the majority from in South Asia, and also to the West, South and Middle America, allies with the global north.
Mm.
People who have interest in solidarity at heart. We will be meeting people welcome to just go on to read or website.com and then on the website be able to where for each day that you participate, ticket. Saturday we will be doing a major cultural festival to celebrate our movement, our resilience, and our resistance in the 1990s uprising, where we'll for the South African performing people of to that are like
Mhm.
to host the days we will have go with movie. We have Wicked and Blue as well as um, who also today um, Mitch wrote that. We are working
Awesome.
on live streaming the meeting, and all of those details will also be presented on our website called Final Change. We really come and concept of the that 359 enables an to subsidize people who otherwise pay. This is why we solidarity.
Awesome stuff. Sikwatlani, thank you so much for the time. That was Sikwatlani Pamori, who leads the African Climate Foundation's New Economy Hub. And that website is we the99.com, is where you can go to get all the information around the movement as well as the calls to action, as well as the celebratory concert that will be rounding up all of those discussions as well as a protest campaign. It is 1:30 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga on SAFM. Let's get to the headline news.
Thank you, Bridget. Good afternoon. In the headlines, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is set to table the 2025 medium-term budget policy statement in Parliament shortly. Meanwhile, farm workers' organizations protesting in front of Parliament are calling on government to fund programs that support small-scale farmers. Former Employee Relations Director at the city of Ekurhuleni, Xolani Mnisa, says the three members of the EMPD's Specialized Services Unit faced allegations of misconduct, including theft, murder and extortion. And the city of Ekurhuleni Mayor Nkosipendile Xhakaza says there's a process underway to root out the city's Metro Police officials found guilty of committing crimes. The Madlanga Commission has heard that almost 300 officers have criminal records or are awaiting trial for serious offences. Details at 5 minutes to 2.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
See her floating lazily through the market like a butterfly. Oh yeah, I won't forget the day the sun came shining in. Hey, hey now. Oh yeah, just like the dawn, bringing in the rays for sunshine and comfort. A flaming torch, she lit up the marketplace so brightly. Colors in a flower garden, gracing her lapa, shimmering in purples and the yellows, and all the shades sparkling in the skies in the rainbows of that combo. Cornrow hair in a million braids, eyes lit up like the northern star, a smile that weaves a spell when she goes to look into my eyes. She's turning me on with food. As she passes me by, hey, mama. Suddenly I'm walking right beside her, really turning her on. When I tell her I'm going wherever, she'll be going when she keeps the
Uyakhumuleka, yes. Oh, Kusiyama, give a kumleg. It is the legend himself, Hugh Masekela, coming through. The marketplace is this particular one, and we play it because we are talking stages, pages, screens, and more, and looking at the Hugh Fest.
stages, pages, screens, and more on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
Pula Twala joins us now, organizer of the Hugh Fest and daughter of the late, great Bra Hugh, as we talk around the festival, which is taking place on Sunday, the 30th of November. It's returning on its 12th year to celebrate diversity and intergenerational conversations. How are you doing this afternoon, Pula?
I'm well, thank you, Bridget. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for the time. I mean, can we
Mm,
believe? As I said it, I thought, has it been 12 years of the Hugh Fest already?
right?
Shoo.
Yeah, our big baby's about to be a teenager.
I mean, really, honestly, how time has flown. But I mean, for those who are not familiar, because there's always somebody who's new to information.
Mm.
Give us some context and some background around the Hugh Fest, because really what it aims to do in the name of the legacy of Bra Hugh Masekela is something quite wonderful.
Yeah, so the Hugh Fest, the beauty of it is it was started by him, by Hugh
Mm.
himself in 2016. And the first installment was in Alexandra, which is the township that he grew up in. And after that, we moved to Soweto, I think, for about 8 years or 6 years just before the pandemic.
Mm.
And then we hosted it twice virtually during the pandemic. When we came out of the pandemic, we partnered with the Nairo Project, Cradle of Humankind, and it will be its fourth year there. And I
Mhm.
think his dream for the festival really, I always say to people, I mean, when I was 11 years old and really came into his life, him Africa,
Mm.
and he had on stage a young princess from Tembo, some created dancers and different backing singers coming to the front. So he always was somebody who loved the stage that was full of different artists of different ages, different
Mm.
genres, and coming on and off to collaborate with each other's songs and performances. So when he started the Hugh Fest, to me as a little girl who had been 11, it very much was reminiscent of what Sekundana was. And
Mm.
we've continued to do that. We've continued to be a festival that attracts, you come with Gogo, Rakadi, Dab, your kids, and really just picnic style and enjoy all sorts of music. Intergenerational, and what we do is that we also have collaborations of like young and old and again different genres. So
Yeah.
that I would say is a continuation of what his legacy is on the stage.
And I've always said this about Bry Hugh and his love for intergenerational exchange, even with his own projects.
Mm.
We've pressed for time this afternoon. So the 30th of November is when the festival is taking place, and as you've mentioned, it's returning back to Nirox.
Mhm.
Who can folks look forward to this year?
This year, folks can look forward to Madala Kunene and Sibusile Kaba collaborating, which is one of our intergenerational collaborations. And then we have the Soul Brothers, so we're having a heritage stage. We have Mikasa and Chipina, which I think is the young crowd. Obviously, have also been in the for at least over a decade, so they do
Mm.
have a nostalgia about them. Then we have the other one, and then we have the young group called so yeah, that will be Sunday, the 30th of November at the Rock.
For folks that want to secure themselves a ticket, because not only is it a wonderful festival, but it's also hosted at a really incredible outdoor sculptural
Mm.
venue. How do they go about getting themselves that ticket for the 30th?
They can check our social pages, which is the Huma Sekela,
Mm.
Huma Sekela pages across everywhere, or they can go directly to paula.co.za where our tickets are being sold. And yeah,
Mm.
Sunday, 30th of November. And yeah, we're very excited just for the date.
Absolutely. It sounds like it's going to be yet another awesome festival indeed. Bula Twala, we appreciate the time. And Bula is the organizer of the Hugh Fest and, of course, daughter of the late Brahu. Sunday, it is on the 30th of November at the Nairok Sculpture Park with quite the stellar intergenerational lineup featuring Shekinah, the Soul Brothers, Mikasa, Madala Gunene, as well as the Brothers Move On. It's going to be a great day out in celebration of what was an incredible creative and an incredible human being in his own right. It is 2 o'clock. We are going to take a quick break here. And then when we come back, we are going to get into our kids programming with Kids Corner. What we are chasing now is chasing that midterm budget speech that should be starting promptly at 2 o'clock.
Ish, at school I was falling behind. They thought I wasn't trying, bruh. Truth is, I couldn't see well, and I felt as small as the words on the board. And then, teacher came to sit with me and realized I needed classes. Bruh, now everything's changed.
Take time to listen. With enough love and support, children don't just catch up, they thrive.
Visit holdmyhand.org.za.
Together, we can change their future.
This November, SAFM proudly presents the 3rd annual lecture.
And as the Freedom Charter says, no legitimate government could claim authority unless it is based on the will of the people. And I think sometimes people forget that.
SAFM invites you to our 3rd annual public lecture, delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi. The theme of the lecture is confronting inequality, corruption and unemployment, rebuilding South Africa's social contract for inclusive and sustainable growth. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November 2025 at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Fourways, Johannesburg. Secure your seat by emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Extraordinary is built on innovation, and Vodacom Business is leading the way. They provide the cloud that scales with ambition, AI that drives smarter decisions, IoT that connects what truly matters, and secure connectivity that keeps everything moving. From small enterprises to public sector solutions, Vodacom Business is creating a future where every connection counts. Stronger businesses, thriving communities, a nation ready to lead. Visit www.vodacombusiness.co.za. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business, further together.
The Expresso Morning Show has been nominated in 5 categories in the 3rd annual National Film and Television Awards South Africa.
It all happens on Saturday, the 22nd of November 2025 at the South African State Theatre in Pretoria. And public voting is open from the 13th of October to the 20th of November at midday.
So visit nationalfilmacademy.com, register and vote for Expresso Morning Show in all 5 categories.
Then, of course, catch us weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. right here on S3.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hello friends and welcome to our Wednesday edition of Kids Corner. I hope you're all doing well and staying focused as exam season continues. Today let's talk about taking a break and finding balance while studying. Are they things you stopped doing because you're busy with exams? Which of those things are you most excited to start doing again when you finish writing? What's one fun or relaxing thing you're planning to do once exams are over? And why do you think it's important for children to pause or avoid things that might disturb them while studying? Remember, working hard is important, but so is resting, relaxing, and doing the things that make you happy once the hard work is done. Now let's listen to some of our friends while you share your answers with the people next to you.
Hi, my name is Danny Good. I started playing games like Roblox with my friends, and I've also been at home instead of going out. And I haven't been sleeping that much because I've been really busy studying for exams. I'm most excited to go out with my friends after exams and just have some fun and de stress. A relaxing thing I can't wait to do after exams is just sleep the whole day or just binge shows. Children should stop doing things that disturb them from studying so that they can focus all of their attention on their studies and that they can pass really well and be much more productive when studying. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Yolanda Mzobe. I am 12 years old. Yes, there are things I've stopped doing because I'm busy studying for exams. I would like to start watching my phone over and over when I finish my exams. One fun or relaxing thing I am planning to do when I finish exam is to spend time with my family, enjoy some time together. I think children should stop doing things that may disturb them from studying for exams because most kids are very clever but do not study because they concentrate on their phones, TV, and so forth, which makes them fail, which is not right. Thank you, everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Kabamba. Since exams started, I have stopped doing some things I found enjoyable, like watching series, spending time with my friends, or even going out sometimes. Even though I miss those things, I know studying is important right now. Once I'm done with my exams, I cannot wait to relax, spend time with my loved ones, and do something fun. Children should avoid doing things that distract them during exams because it's easy to lose focus and forget what you studied. Taking a short break is fine, but staying focused helps us do our best and feel proud when we see our results.
Good day. My name is Mane Angel Ngabera. Yes, there are things that I stopped doing because I'm busy studying for exams. And the things that I'm most excited to start doing again when I finish my exams is basically going out with my mom and my dad, basically the family, going to resorts, theme parks, going to watch movies with friends, basically having fun. One fun or relaxing thing that I'm planning to do when I finish writing my exams, I basically want to go to a trip with my family or just go on a movie night with my friends, something that I'll find fun. Or you can also do something that you find interesting with your loved ones. Children should stop doing things that may disturb them from studying because it disrupts their focus on studying during exam periods, and they're also unable to get good grades and reach their goals as they have a lot of distractions on their side. So, in order for us to achieve good marks and reach our goals, we need to stay away from our distractions. Maybe even ask your parents to monitor you, tell you when to go and study, or maybe to just take your phone if you still have it during exam periods. They can just take it for that 2 hours or 1 hour that you're going to use for studying. Thank you and have a lovely day.
Good day, friends. My name is Prophet David Ikena, and I'm 11 years old. Yes, there are multiple things I've stopped doing because I was busy studying for my exams. The thing I'm most excited to start doing when I finish exams is using my gaming console. The one fun thing I'm planning on doing when I'm done with my exams is going to the park once again. The reason why children should stop doing things that may disturb them from studying from exams is because it will distract them from reading book and they'll never have the mind to be reading it. They'll find it disturbing to even read books. Then they fail exams. Thank you.
My name is Nzala Moshana and I'm 8 years old. I'm in grade 2 and I do not write exams yet, but when I'm busy with homeworks all our projects, I'll stop watching TV and playing games with my little brother. I am excited to play TV games with my little brother again. One fun thing I am planning to do when I finish my big school project is to visit my grandmother's house. Children should stop doing things that may disturb them from their schoolwork because if you don't focus, you will get bad marks.
Hi guys, my name is Kate. I haven't really had any distractions just yet when it comes to schoolwork. I think I've been quite disciplined in the way I do schoolwork, and I'm very proud of myself because of that. And I'm willing to study hard and do everything like well.
My name is Bridget Masinga. Yes, there are things that sometimes distract me from my schoolwork. I really enjoy watching vlogs and choreography videos on YouTube. I also like playing The Sims 4 and games on Roblox. Usually, I do all my homework and studying first before playing any games or watching YouTube. My mother also takes my electronic devices at 6 p.m. on school nights, and I spend the most time on YouTube during the weekend. The best way to deal with academic distractions is to do all your academic work before going out to play or playing games. Also, parents should keep an eye on their children's academics and limit their time on electronic devices.
My name is Bara Mari. The biggest distraction with my schoolwork is when my little sister makes noise and run around. She also screams very hard for no reason that makes my ears sometimes hurt. To plan and deal with this distraction, I tell her that I'm doing my work, and if she doesn't listen and continues with her screaming and running around with making noise, I tell my parents that if they're not around, I just go and write my schoolwork far, far away from her.
Thank you, friends. It's always great to hear from you. It's that time of the year again, exam season. Many of you are working extra hard, studying, revising, and preparing to show what you've learned this year. That's amazing, and you should be proud of yourselves. But as we all know, when exams comes around, we often have to pause or slow down on some of the fun things we usually enjoy, like playing outside, watching TV, going out with friends, or spending extra time on our phones or games. These little efforts might not always feel easy, but they help us stay focused and give our best effort. So, friends, are there things you stopped doing because you're busy studying for exams? Maybe you've taken a break from your favorite hobbies or sports? The good news is those fun things will still be waiting for you once exams are over. And which of those activities are you most excited to start doing again? Maybe playing soccer with your friends, reading a fun book, visiting family, or just relaxing at home. After working hard, it's so important to rest and recharge your mind and body. That's how we find balance. When exams end, doing something fun or relaxing like drawing, listening to music, baking, or going for a walk helps you celebrate your hard work and releases any stress you felt during the exam period. But while exams are still happening, it's very important for us to avoid distractions that could disturb our studies, like watching too much TV, spending long hours on social media, or leaving studying for the last minute. These habits can make it harder to focus and remember what you've learned. Instead, planning your time wisely and taking short breaks will help you feel more confident and ready. Remember, friends, exams don't last forever, but the knowledge you gain stays with you for life. Stay focused now, and soon you'll be free to enjoy all the things you love again. So keep working hard, taking care of yourself, and believe in your abilities because you can do it. That's it for today, friends. See you next time.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
In our top stories, Godongwana to table the medium-term budget shortly and process underway to root out corrupt EMPD officials. Good afternoon. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is set to table the 2025 medium-term budget policy statement in Parliament shortly. Meanwhile, farm workers' organizations protesting in front of Parliament are calling on government to fund programs that support small-scale farmers. Dr. Bridget Jansen is from the Rural Women's Assembly.
The austerity budget is an act of violence against the poor. It starves our people to protect the wealthy, and it silences the hands that feed. RUA South Africa demands that there redistribution of land to the landless, prioritize women's access to land through the 1 hectare, 1 woman campaign.
Former Employee Relations Director at the City of Ekurhuleni, Xolani Ngciza, says that 3 members of the EMPD's Specialized Services Unit faced allegations of misconduct, including theft, murder and extortion. Suspended EMPD Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi says the leader of the unit. Ngciza has told the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria that the investigation was initiated following an IPED report.
They also raised issues with me regarding other investigations that were underway, inclusive of investigations against Mackenzie Stalls and Twala, who were constables working in the specialized unit section. So I received a lot of information about the cases that were dealt with, issues of copper, theft, murder, extortion.
Meanwhile, City of Ekurhuleni Mayor Nkosipindile Xhakaza says there's a process underway to root out the city's Metro Police officials found guilty of committing crimes. The Madlanga Commission has heard that almost 300 officers have criminal records or are awaiting trial for serious offences. Xhakaza says lawlessness will not be tolerated within the EMPD.
What is important is that we need to clean our system and rid of wrong elements. Those that are reported to have committed crime, there must be action. And that is what council has directed us to do. That is what our communities want us to do. And that's exactly what we'll be doing.
South African cellular giant Vodacom has reached an agreement with Elon Musk's Starlink to deliver high-speed, low-latency broadband internet to millions of businesses and households across Africa. The two entities will also expand rural network coverage. According to Vodacom, integrating Starlink's satellite backhaul into Vodacom's mobile network will accelerate network coverage expansion while increasing network performance in rural areas. Starlink is available in 25 countries on the continent, but not yet in South Africa. Recapping the top story, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is set to table the 2025 medium-term budget policy statement in Parliament shortly. For SFM News, I am Utsile Saku.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
At school, I was falling behind. They thought I wasn't trying, bruh. Truth is, I couldn't see well, and I felt as small as the words on the board. And then, teacher came to sit with me and realized I needed glasses. Bruh, now everything's changed.
Take time to listen. With enough love and support, children don't just catch up, they thrive.
Visit holdmyhand.org.za.
Together, we can change their future.
This Monday evening at 7 on My Design Rules. It's all about comfort and style as the duos take on The Lounge. With a fully open plan living area to work with, they'll have to design with intention if they want to bring the kitchen, dining, and lounge together into one cohesive space. And each week is one step closer to the grand prize of up to 600,000 Rand in cash. That's Monday evening at 7, repeat Saturday at 2, and Sunday at 4 p.m. Only on S3. 3.
Extraordinary doesn't just happen. It's built with every connection, every innovation, every leap forward. With Vodacom Business, you get cloud that grows with your vision, security you can trust, AI that drives smarter decisions, and IoT that connects what truly matters. Visit www.vodacombusiness.co.za. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business, further together. This November, SAFM proudly presents the 3rd annual lecture.
And as the Freedom Charter says, no legitimate government could claim authority unless it is based on the will of the people. And I think sometimes people forget that.
SAFM invites you to our 3rd annual public lecture, delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser-Muleketi. The theme of the lecture is Confronting Inequality, Corruption and Unemployment, Rebuilding South Africa's Social Contract for Inclusive and Sustainable Growth. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November 2025 at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Four Ways, Johannesburg. Secure your seat by emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The Morning Brief.
Anyone who's ever been anywhere near Mzwane Lemanye and heard him laugh, you will know that signature laugh. Even if you walk into a room with lots of people, which actually happened a couple of years ago while out on a story. And he just laughed and I knew that, okay, Mzwane is somewhere in this room. I can't make you laugh because...
No, we'll talk. Okay.
I knew that would trigger it. Thank you for that. That's Mzwane Lemanye. He's got a signature laugh, right? He's got a signature laugh.
Tulasizwe Simelane on The Morning Brief.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a Clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations, and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Afternoon Express is proud to be nominated in multiple categories at the 3rd Annual National Film and TV Awards taking place on Saturday, the 22nd of November. And you can add your voice by voting. Visit nationalfilmacademy.com, register and vote for Afternoon Express in the Best Entertainment Show category, Palisa Tembe for Best TV Presenter, and myself, Ayanda Jitabete, for Best Female TV Personality and Celebrity Personality of the Year. Voting closes on the 20th of November at midday.
SAFM commemorates Disability Rights Awareness Month under the theme Celebrating 30 Years of Democracy, Creating Strategic, Multi-Sectoral Partnerships for a Disability-Inclusive Society. SAFM supports and works tirelessly towards equity and equality for those with disabilities. Empowerment is key. Let us break the barriers and improve the quality of life for those with disabilities. Our efforts towards a better life for those with disabilities can only be impactful when we do so together. We do not tolerate any kind of discrimination. Disability Awareness Month 2025 on SAFM 104 to 107 FM nationwide, leading the conversations that move us. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Without wasting any more time, the minister has just taken to the podium at Parliament to present the 2025 midterm budget policy statement. Let's cross on over to Cape Town and hear exactly what he has planned for us, the fellow South Africans. It is Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana.
Apartheid as victims provide us with a timely reminder of our responsibility to forge collective prosperity grounded in truth, justice, and mutual respect. They made the call not in our name. And that to me was an important patriotic call. Madam Speaker, it is in this spirit that I table the following documents before this House. A Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, Adjustment Appropriation Bill, Taxation Laws Amendment Bill, Tax Administration Laws Amendment Bill, and this medium budget policy statement. As we table this policy statement, we have reason to be optimistic about the future of our country. Our optimism is rooted in the progress we've made in keeping the promises we have set out. A promise to grow the economy faster, to strengthen public finances, and to improve life for all South Africans. 2 years ago, we committed to stabilizing public debt in the current year and then begin to reduce it. Despite a challenging environment of persistently low economic growth, we are on track to achieving this goal. We also committed to remove South Africa from the Financial Action Task Force grey list. We have delivered on this commitment in just 2.5 years. This is thanks to collaboration across government departments, law enforcement agencies, and the private sector. Exiting grey listing enhances South Africa's attractiveness to investors and make it easier to do business with us. However, we cannot afford to be complacent. FATF's next mutual evaluation of South Africa begins in the first half of 2026. We must continue to tackle money laundering and terrorism financing to stay off the grey list. Honourable members, we also promise to use our presidency of the first African G20 to firmly place Africa on the global agenda. As we approach the final stretch of our presidency, we have successfully concluded meetings of the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors, brokering critical consensus for the continent's development. We are ready for the Leaders Summit in Johannesburg just over a week's time. Despite all of this progress, we must remain realistic about the present and the action it demands. South Africa's most pressing challenge remains accelerated economic growth to create jobs and reduce poverty at the scale required. Drawing lessons from the 2025 budget process, we have engaged extensively to build consensus on how to achieve faster growth and leverage public finances to attract investment needed to create jobs and improve life for all. Allow me to turn to the economic outlook. Madam Speaker, South Africa's economic prospects are shaped not only by domestic factors, but by also global developments. Global growth is estimated to slow slightly to 3.2% in 2025. Amid ongoing trade tensions, geopolitical uncertainty, and supply chain disruptions, while the shocks of the unilateral tariffs imposed by the United States have not materialized severely as expected, their delayed effects, coupled with the rising protectionism, pose future risks to global productivity and price stability. Global equity markets have surged, driven by AI-related stocks and central banks' rate cuts. But this rally carries the risk of sudden reversals. Given this uncertainty, it is critical that we leverage the immense opportunities presented by the Sub-Sahara region. We continue to make progress in the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement to strengthen multilateralism and regional cooperation.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day, Father. Thank you. Order, Honorable Nanda.
Domestically, we forecast real GDP growth at 1.2% for 2025, more than double the economic growth in 2024. We now forecast real GDP growth will average 1.8% between 2026 and 2028. Madam Speaker, the structural reforms we have embarked on, particularly in the energy and logistics, will be key to lifting our rate of growth closer to levels demanded by our developmental needs. Our strategy for faster growth and healthier finances continues to be anchored on 4 pillars. The first is maintaining macroeconomic stability. The second is implementing structural reforms. The third is building state capability. And the fourth, supporting growth-enhancing infrastructure. Madam Speaker, faster economic growth requires effective macroeconomic management. Over the past year, National Treasury and the Reserve Bank have jointly assessed the impact of a lower target on our economy and the fiscal framework. This work has now been concluded and recommends a revision to the target to strengthen the framework and enhance price stability by better anchoring inflation expectations and aligning South Africa to international best practice. Today, I announce a new inflation target for South Africa of 3% with a 1% point tolerance band. This decision follows agreement between the governor of the South African Reserve Bank and my consultation with the President and Cabinet. The 1 percentage point band provides the flexibility to accommodate unexpected inflationary shocks. This new target immediately replaces the previous target range between 3 and 6% and will be implemented over the next 2 years. Over time, the lower target will decrease inflation expectations and inflation creating room for lower interest rates. This supports household spending and business investment, boosting economic growth and job creation. The short-term fiscal cost of lower target, which include nominal GDP and revenue growth, will make achieving fiscal targets more challenging. Yet, the long-term benefits of taking this step far outweigh this cost. We remain committed to ensuring that our macroeconomic policies serve the best interest of all South Africans. Madam Speaker, our fiscal strategy aims to achieve the following goals. Anchor fiscal policy by stabilizing debt and growing the primary budget surplus. Mobilize and direct more resources towards infrastructure investment and improving efficiency and effectiveness of spending. I'm pleased to inform the House and the country that we are on track to restore fiscal sustainability. Government debt will stabilize in 25-26 at 77.9% of GDP. This is the first time since 2008 financial crisis that public debt will not grow as a percentage of GDP. Since 2008, spending has consistently exceeded revenue, driving up debt and debt service costs. These costs crowded out spending on critical services and extended pressure on lending rates across the economy. But we are now turning this around. This year, revenues will exceed the budget estimates by 19.3 billion. Meanwhile, debt service costs will be lower by 4.8 billion. Over the MTF, debt service costs will grow by 3.87% annually. This is a significant reduction from the 7.4% growth anticipated at the time of the 2025 budget. We will also achieve a primary budget surplus of 68.5 billion, or 0.9% of the GDP this year. This will grow to 224 billion by 2028. Let me just explain this thing a bit. A primary surplus is quite critical because in the absence of that primary surplus, we are not going to impact on the debt trajectory. The primary surplus help to change that debt structure in a downward spiral. What are the effects of that? Your debt service costs come down. Once your debt service costs come down, sir, revenue becomes available to fund our developmental goals. The overall budget deficits will now narrow from 4.5% of GDP in 2025-26 to 2.7 in 28-29. Madam Speaker, to further ensure long-term sustainability of public finances, the government is considering options for a form of fiscal anchor. We're exploring what we call a principle-led approach that provides for a clear parliamentary oversight, stronger reporting on fiscal risk, and transparency on distributional impacts. Earlier this year, we published a discussion paper on this topic, and consultation with stakeholders and experts are ongoing. The better than estimated tax revenue of 19.7 billion is due to stronger household expenditure, which has boosted value-added tax collection and improvements in corporate tax receipts and dividend taxes. Lower than expected VAT refunds also contributed to improved revenue outlook. As indicated in 2025 budget, an additional 4 billion was allocated to the South African Revenue Service. This allocation was intended in part to strengthen debt collection and thereby increase revenue collection by between 20 and 50 billion per year. We'll continue to monitor SARS revenue performance for the remainder of the year. This assessment will inform whether the 20 billion additional tax increases for 2026 budget, as earlier proposed, can be withdrawn. A final decision, let me just say, if it withdrawn, the 20 billion is not achieved. There are two options open to us, is to then raise taxes or cut expenditure. There's no two ways. That's how this thing works. We must find revenue or cut expenditure. Honorable members, South Africa faces problems of illicit trade that threatens our economy, endangers consumers, and robs the fiscals of billions in revenue. The growing market for illicit cigarettes and alcohol poses serious risk to public health and undermine legitimate business. Each year, billions of rands in taxes go uncollected, funds that could have closed our revenue gap and avoided tax increases entirely. According to SARS, since 2020, government has lost around 40 billion in excise revenues to the cigarette black market. This same is true for illicit alcohol and fuel. Government is clamping down on this illegal trade. And in the last 6 months, SARS suspended 3 licenses for non-compliant tobacco production. The Financial Intelligence Center has provided intelligence reports to SARS to assist in investigation of criminal syndicates. Together, they have identified illicit markets in tobacco, precious metals, fuel, and procurement fraud. Custom officials must fulfill their duty to prevent criminals from dodging taxes and flooding our markets with dangerous products. Of course, For them to achieve that, just if I may explain, they will have to need the full might of the law enforcement agencies behind them. That coordinated work is quite important. I'm pleased to inform this House that Cabinet has already taken a decision that coordinated work must take place. Madam Speaker, the adjustment in revenue means that we can make changes to our spending estimates. For the current year, additional expenditure of 15.8 billion rand is proposed amongst the in-year adjustment, and is also 2 billion rand for the building of parliament and 1 billion rand for the Independent Electoral Commission for the 2026 municipal election. Let me explain a bit. Earlier on, if you were listening, I said this year we've got an over collection of about 19.3 billion rand. That's what I said earlier on. We realize that we may not have sufficient resources next year. What we have done is to say, what are the recurrent expenditures for next year, which we can fund this year? What this 15.8 billion does, it takes those recurrent expenditures for the following year while bringing them forward and funding them in this specific year. In addition, the spending announced in May budget for the national dialogue as well as its carry-through costs are catered for here. These allocations are on top of the additional funding provisions for education and health announced in the May budget. Madam Speaker, President Ramaphosa has consistently spoken of infrastructure as the flywheel of our economy. In line with this vision and advancing our pillar of growth enhancing infrastructure, we are shifting the composition of spending from consumption to investment. Capital payments are the fastest growing expenditure item at 7.5% over the medium term. We are leveraging public resources to mobilize private finance and expertise at scale to strengthen service delivery, improve spending effectiveness, and drive high economic growth. The amendments to the PPP regulations took effect from the 1st of June 2025, and these unlock potential across spheres of government and streamline approvals for smaller projects. 3 weeks ago, new guidelines on unsolicited bids and fiscal commitments and contingent liabilities were issued, and these took effect immediately. The unsolicited bid guidelines provides a clear structured pathway for the private sector to submit project ideas to government. The other guideline provides a framework for reporting and managing of fiscal commitments and contingent liabilities arising out of the PPP projects. Municipality PPP regulations will be amended by 2026. Liver and I'm still going to give a report to President because you said I must do it this year. It has been difficult to finish this year because of a number of regulation framework that accompanies that. Leveraging lessons from the renewable IPP projects to streamline planning and procurement, the Department of Transport private sector participation unit is reviving the passenger transport and logistics sector. Following strong interest from the freight logistics request for information, the unit will issue the first rail corridor request for proposal by December 2025, with others following in early 2026. The unit has also issued requests for information for investment opportunities in modernizing and growing the passenger rail system. Water Partnership Office is making progress in preparing non-revenue water and reuse projects across municipalities. I mean, this term non-revenue water is still, I can't understand it. I always people, why do you say this is non-revenue water? Water that is transported from, an example, from a water board to a municipality, it gets lost on the process. And we call it non-revenue water, whereas it's wasted water. Okay. These will create robust pipeline for the private sector to co-invest, and we have reconfigured budget facility for infrastructure to run for 4 bid windows annually instead of just one. Since the configuration, the budget facility for infrastructure has received 28 submissions. Out of those, 9 projects were accepted for detailed analysis. Funding for the tune of 4.1 billion is also allocated for disaster relief to fix schools, pipelines, clinics, and substation damage between the last year and this year flooding in KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga, and Eastern Cape. To raise the funding for these BFI projects, a new infrastructure bond will be launched soon to raise a minimum of 15 billion. The bond forms part of our efforts to introduce dedicated financing instrument that can mobilize cheaper financing to support infrastructure agenda. Government will also contribute to 2 billion to capitalize the credit guarantee facility. If you don't understand it clearly, please meet Dr. Ramkhopa. That's his pet project on the transmission line. Initially, the vehicle will support electricity transmission expansion, directly contribute to our efforts at energy security, while also driving decarbonization. Let me just pause again. What Dr. Ramkhopa says is that in provinces such as Northern Cape, where you have renewable projects, I'm going to use his term, we can't evacuate the electron. So what does that mean is that we can't take the electricity out of Northern Cape because there are no transmission lines. And this is what the project is intended to do. This heralds a new era in triple Ps, where private investment in high voltage transmission lines is enabled. This is really progress in our movement away from merely fixing the power utility to securing power to the grid from a range of sources. This is a key and innovative part of infrastructure reforms developed with international partners to de-risk private investment without state guarantees. We're also committed to simplifying the institutional arrangements across the infrastructure ecosystem. The new Infrastructure Finance and Implementation Support Agency will be in place by March. The agency will provide project preparation support to supply the BFI pipeline. It will centralize infrastructure financing functions to systematically crowd in private capital and promote the use of alternative delivery mechanisms. Honourable members, this is how we will ensure that our goal of public sector investment in infrastructure exceeds the 1 trillion mark over the next 3 years. Madam Speaker, we estimate that tax collection will remain buoyant over the medium term. Despite the higher than expected revenue performance in 2025-26, gross revenue are projected to fall short of 2025 budget estimate by around 15.7 billion over the next 2 years. Improving tax revenue will require more sustainable economic growth and further gains in tax compliance and administration. Over the medium term, consolidated spending will increase from 2.6 trillion this year to 2.9 trillion in 28-29. Our commitment to support low-income and vulnerable households through education, health, and social protection remains. The lion's share of the consolidated non-interest spending, approximately 61% over the next 3 years, continues to fund the basket of government-provided services and benefits that reduce the cost of living of our citizens. Madam Speaker, this spending is our commitment to the redistribution of income and opportunities in favor of the most vulnerable household in our society. To build on the work of spending reviews, we have got something called targeted responsible savings underway. Honourable members, eliminating waste and inefficiency in government is non-negotiable if we are to maintain public trust that tax money is spent responsibly. The Targeted and Responsible Savings Initiative systematically identifies duplication, eliminates waste, reorganizes programs to deliver value for money. We are implementing medium-term savings of 6.7 billion by closing or scaling down low priority and underperforming programs immediately. More than half of this involves identifying people who are double dipping and defrauding in the social grant system. We're also scaling down the public transport network grant. The grant has failed to meet the objectives, and some cities have failed entirely to get the projects off the ground. An integrated public transport system is essential to support the working class communities. We will be reconsidering how to lower the cost of mobility and rework the institutional framework. Commuter rail is the backbone of our public transport system. PRASA is making some progress in revitalizing our rail system. 11.8 million passenger trips in 2022-23 to 116 million last year. This is only the start of the broader continuous process to redirect funds from inefficient programs to pressing national priorities. An update will be provided in the February budget. Madam Speaker, let me now turn to the subnational sphere. Allocation to provinces protect frontline services. For municipalities, they ensure continued provision of basic services that include water, refuse removal, sanitation, and electricity. The share of the national raised revenue for provinces and municipalities will respectively increase to 4.24 and 9.7% over the medium term. The allocation, among other things, also cater for changes in population growth and to compensate municipalities for increase in bulk services, service charges related to free basic services. In addition, they also ensure the placing of local government operating capacity on firm grounding. Madam Speaker, we are making steady progress on structural reforms that are a key pillar to our strategy of growing the economy. These structural reforms are crucial to dismantling the binding constraints that have held back our economy. They are also about ensuring that every lever of the state works efficiently and effectively toward the same goal of a stably growing, competitive, and inclusive growth. Through Operation Vulindlela, now in phase 2, since it started in 2021, we are building a tangible momentum across energy, logistics, water, and now critical in local government, spatial integration and digital transformation. Not long ago, our country was on the brink of energy crisis. Unreliable electricity supply threatened to derail our economy and the transformation of our society. I'm pleased to say that we have avoided that scenario, and instead, we have begun a march towards reliable supply of energy. Load shedding has come down significantly. Through focused and targeted interventions led by Operation Vulindlela, we are transforming the sector. We are building competitive wholesale market that gives investors certainty. The National Transmission Company has now applied for its market operator license. We are investing in new capacity and alternative sources. More than 2,220 megawatts of solar, wind, and battery projects are in development, with 720 megawatts at advanced stage. Eskom has added 800 megawatts from Kusile Unit 6 and is showing signs of operational and financial improvements. The movement of freight within the country faced serious challenges, resulting in traffic congestion as the transport of goods shifted from rail. This led to an overall decline in the volume of goods and export transited. Reforms in freight logistics are again in gaining speed. 11 private train operators now have slots on 41 routes across 6 corridors. Port efficiency is improving, with vessel waiting time down from 75%, while container handling is faster, with Durban Pier 2 welcoming private operators. we expect to unlock 200 billion in investment over the next 5 years. These much needed reforms in logistics will increase the volume of rail freight, reduce port congestion, improve the country's economic performance. Water security is a quick constraint. We're moving faster to provide legislative certainty, clarity that will stabilize the sector. The Water Service Amendment Bill clarifies institutional rule, which will, while the National Water Resource Infrastructure Agency launches in April 2026. We're also ensuring that investment in water infrastructure addresses the problem of maintenance and old infrastructure. To attract skills, investment, and tourism, we have modernized our visa system by clearing 300,000 backlog. These reforms demonstrate we have and are creating space for private sector investment and building infrastructure. And as Speaker, municipalities are at the forefront of providing essential services. However, many are fraught with capacity constraints that hinder their ability to deal with allocated budgets into reliable services. It is for this reason that several reforms have been introduced to urgently remedy this untenable situation. Let me just give an example, again, highlight a particular example. Minister Hlabisa will tell you, as we are allocating the emergency relief for disaster this year, we were also allocating to municipalities that were allocated last year, who have not been able to spend last year's allocation. That's the kind of constraint we need to attend to. We are piloting utility reform program to stabilize and professionalize water and electricity businesses in a few municipalities in Mpumalanga. To address persistent underspending and capacity constraints at the local level, we are reforming the municipal infrastructure grant. Where municipalities show persistent failure, delivery will shift to an indirect model through agencies such as like MISA and DBC, coupled with time-bound capability plans aimed at restoring direct funding. We're seeing encouraging progress in metro trading service reform. Over the 2026 budget, 19.3 billion rand has been reallocated towards this reform in line with council-approved improvement plan. Financial sustainability is improving through better billing, tight credit controls, cost-reflective tariffs with indigent protection, and co-funding crowding in concessional and commercial finance. Today, we launch a government's first procurement payment dashboard using data for the basic accounting system. The dashboard is available on the National Treasury e-tender website, showing the payments made to suppliers by most national and provincial government as captured on our payment system. This represents a massive step forward in procurement transparency. The dashboard will identify inefficiencies, anomalies, and uncovering opportunities for consolidation. It also enables analysis of procurement expenditure and the suppliers that do business with state, give citizens, academic and civil society the ability to hold departments accountable, supporting efforts to fight corruption and fraud. Let me just illustrate this point. If you had this system during Tembisa Hospital, what?
Order, honorable members. Let's allow the minister to make his example. Order.
What the system does.
Order.
If you read this SIU report, what they were doing, they would avoid the tendering system by saying, putting all tenders that are below 500, you are not supposed to tender. You are supposed to ask for 3 quotes. And then people would go on and ask for 3 quotes and split tenders to be under 500. And then this, at the national level or anywhere else, would not be able to track that conduct. What this system does, is going to help us to check that conduct and be able to raise flags, to raise red flags at an appropriate time. I know there are some colleagues who says they must abolish tenders. They must first change the constitution before they can do that. We are also waging war. We're also waging war.
Minister is proceeding on the next page. I think he's done with his example, so let's allow him to continue. Order, Minister, you can proceed. Order. Order.
We are also waging war on ghost workers in public service. We have heard calls from political parties and civil society. National Treasury is working closely with the Department of Public Service and Administration and Home Affairs on data-driven approach that integrates systems across the government. We're beginning to see the result of this collaboration. We have already uncovered close to 9,000 high-risk cases that have been flagged for further verification. The early retirement program, which provides financial incentive for employees to exit public service from October 2025, allows for us to rejuvenate the public service. These interventions will deliver long-term average savings of around 3.5 billion per annum. More importantly, they demonstrate our commitment to fiscal discipline and ensure that every rand spent contributes effectively to growth and service delivery. Madam Speaker, the presentation of the medium-term budget policy statement sends a clear message that South Africa is choosing growth, stability, and reform. It represents our commitment to an open, transparent budget process. It is intended to empower all stakeholders to contribute to the discussion of the nation's priority. It makes transparent the budget framework through which the government seeks to achieve the nation's social and economic development. We will use our collective efforts to increase the pace and scale of tackling unemployment and building stronger economy. Speaker, as I close, allow me to express my deepest gratitude to the President, as usual, and the Deputy President for the Council of their support and for their leadership. Thank you all to the Deputy Ministers of Finance and the excellent National Treasury team led by the Director General. They have walked this path with me, sharing freely the insight, expertise, and passion for our country. Thank you to the Commissioner of the South African Revenue Services and the Governor for the South African Reserve Bank. Thank you to my cabinet colleagues, the ministers of the Committee on the Budget and the Budget Council from the provinces, who share the heavy load of tough decisions that must be taken in the sustainability of our finances. Thank you as well to what is called the Technical Committee on the Budget, which is composed of a few DGs who have done splendid work. To the Parliamentary Committee of Finance, Appropriation and Public Action, I express my sincere appreciation to all of you. And lastly, Umam Chawe and the family in general for understanding. And to the citizens of this beautiful country, for your faith in us, in our is our motivation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
SAFM's award-winning drama department presents to you the radio drama series Skyline.
Such cockpit medical emergency now.
Cabin crew to your stations.
where the skies promise adventure, but behind the cabin doors, untold secrets are found.
Signing off on cheap parts they installed like it's nothing.
Catch the radio drama series every Saturday at 9 p.m. on SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
This November, SAFM proudly presents the 3rd annual lecture.
And as the Freedom Charter says, no legitimate government could claim authority unless it is based on the will of the people. And I think sometimes people forget that.
SAFM invites you to our 3rd annual public lecture, delivered by Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela University, Dr. Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi. The theme of the lecture is confronting inequality, corruption and unemployment, rebuilding South Africa's social contract for inclusive and sustainable growth. The lecture will take place on the 27th of November 2025 at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Fourways, Johannesburg. Secure your seat by emailing us at rsvp@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. SAFM commemorates Disability Rights Awareness Month under the theme Celebrating 30 Years of Democracy, Creating Strategic, Multi-Sectoral Partnerships for a Disability-Inclusive Society. SAFM supports and works tirelessly towards equity and equality for those with disabilities. Empowerment is key. Let us break the barriers and improve the quality of life for those with disabilities. Our efforts towards a better life for those with disabilities can only be impactful when we do so together. We do not tolerate any kind of discrimination. Disability Awareness Month 2025 on SAFM 104 to 107 FM nationwide, leading the conversations that move us. The Jet Set Breakfast.
How would you first of all select the iceberg, and then how are you going to tow an iceberg to Cape Town?
Yes, so when I first presented it, people said I was crazy. There should be about 5 icebergs that fit our profile, and that's about 1 kilometer long, half a kilometer wide, and 250 meters deep, so about 100 million tons of water. You put that into the current, you need a couple of super tankers to alter course.
Captain Nicholas Sloan, he's the managing director of something called Sloan Marine.
Michelle Constant on the Jet Set Breakfast. The Morning Brief.
So what does this play on, Renee, in terms of the desperation of the people? For instance, talk to this element of promises to get people out of legitimate debt review. Is that even possible?
Yes, there are legitimate ways to exit debt review, but as we roll over to December, we're seeing more and more consumers lured in by the trap or the illusion of clearing your ITC record, clearing a blacklisting review or indicator on your credit report, or just trying to give them the hope of allowing them to qualify for further finance, which is not what the debt review process was designed to do.
Renee Monsami, chairperson of the National Debt Counseling Association.
Tulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and a whole country affected by gender-based violence. All on your favorite SABC radio station. Call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. The soundtrack of your life with Ernest Pillay.
Some songs take you back instantly to your first love, a road trip, or just simpler times. The soundtrack of your life with me, Ernest Pillay, is where timeless hits and forgotten favorites come together to tell your story. It's not just music, it's memories, moments, and the meaning behind this jam. Rediscover the songs that shaped your journey. Tune in to the soundtrack of your life with me, Ernest Pillay, Saturdays and Sundays, 1 to 4 p.m., only on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
Standing on his own.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Alrighty, and that concludes the midterm budget for 2025 as delivered by Minister Enoch Godongwana. And we thought we'd catch up with Jimmy Moyaha, who is, of course, with MoneyWeb, to unpack for us what are the most pertinent points for us to note this afternoon. How are you, Jimmy?
Hi, Bridget. How are you?
I'm great. I mean, hopefully I'll be even better once you tell us that there's something for us to smile about after this midterm budget.
Do you know what? If I'm entirely honest, I think it was quite an impressive midterm budget policy statement. There was a lot that could have been said. There was a lot that was left out in the air from an expectation perspective. But I think what's going to likely make the headlines at this point is that confirmation of our new inflation targeting band. That, without a doubt, puts South Africa's financial, fiscal, monetary policies on an entirely different trajectory. We saw it happen previously where the Reserve Bank Governor, Maluma Lesetja Kganyago, came out and said that that was what the SARB was looking to anchor at. And at the time, National Treasury didn't necessarily see eye to eye with the central bank around that. But this announcement and this officialization of a new inflation target puts South Africa's economy on a different path completely. This is the first time this has happened in democratic South Africa. So a quiet way to state it. I think a lot of analysts, myself included, expected that we might hear this sort of announcement at the main budget, but we do know that midterm budget policy statement is typically a time for a guidance on any policy shifts, and so it lines up very nicely to be able to put it in at this point. And I think there's a couple of other standout things that stood out within the speech itself. I mean, the announcement of a new infrastructure bond, the fact that we are still able to officially say that we're off the grey list, the new setup that we've got for reducing wasteful expenditure, the TARS setup. We're going to dig into all of these, of course, when we cover the show a little later on. We're doing an entire budget show today just so that we can break down each of these different parts in a bit more detail. But all in all, I think this was a rather impressive midterm budget policy statement from the minister.
Very interesting. Now, for us, the laymen who, are not well versed and well concerned with figures and matters of financial policy, I know that the minister also announced a forecast for GDP growth of 1.2% for 2025. Which is essentially, from what I understand, more than double than what we saw in 2024.
Yes, so typically these announcements, where it relates to the economic growth prospects of the country, have in almost every prior budget been rather optimistic and rather above what we've been able to achieve. I think this is the first time where we have seen that we might potentially get to this particular target. There are a lot of factors, of course, that go into it, and we've seen that from the first budget speech of 2025 to the third one that we had 3 iterations of it, and each time the outlook was revised downward. So it's interesting to see now that we're not revising it further down, but instead we're still being a bit optimistic around it. Historically, it has been a bit of a pressure point for National Treasury wanting to achieve those optimistic outlook outcomes. I think what makes this midterm budget a little different is we're starting to actually see a bit more color around how we get to that number. For the longest time, it's been conversations around this is the number we want to achieve. This is the number we believe the economy will achieve. But for now, we're actually seeing from a midterm budget policy perspective that there are steps being put in place to achieve what we are wanting to get to. I mean, from an infrastructure point of view, it has taken quite a bit of time, but for us to get to a point where we're now saying we're looking to introduce an infrastructure bond, that is saying to the global investment community, both in and out of South Africa, that South Africa is ready to start attracting infrastructure financing on a different level and at a different scale. So the talk that has been put forward from a midterm budget policy statement is rather optimistic. I think historically we haven't had any trouble in that area. Where we have had a bit of trouble has always been in implementation. We talk the talk, and perhaps now we'll finally start to see us walking the walk as South Africa, so to speak.
Fabulous. Jimmy, we appreciate the time. And of course, our folks can get a more comprehensive analysis from you later on today. That was Jimmy Moyaha. One of our producers is quite upset that I didn't ask Jimmy how far is her money now going to stretch. But perhaps we'll ask Umatsidiso that, who we spoke to a little bit earlier. Matsidiso Lingwasa is the chairperson of the Budget Justice Coalition. Just your feedback now that that budget speech has been tabled.
Yes, good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity to engage on this. So I think that, as people who are interested in what the budget means for ordinary people, I think that we're still processing the announcement of the inflation targeting, because on the one hand, on the surface, it sounds like a great thing because inflation, is impacts everyone, but it disproportionately impacts the most marginalized, the lowest income people. But if you think about the role of the monetary policy that our country has in solving the issues that we have in our country, that's when we really show our concern, because what we have is South Africa is currently struggling. Our economy is struggling to create meaningful work for the majority, for millions of people across the country. And so if going ahead with an inflation target of 3% will compel the Reserve Bank to increase or to use interest rates to adjust it, to ensure to adjust prices, to ensure that they're actually what that ends up meaning is that smaller businesses can't absorb that initial increases in inflation, will be in a less able position to hire more people, and so there's an there are potential consequences on employment interventions by our country, and that also works the same way for governments, because Treasury spends, government spends more on our servicing our debt than we do on any other spending item, and so if we have higher debt or more debt to pay, it might push National Treasury into fiscal austerity, which will be borne by the most marginalized people in the country.
Yeah. Matsiriso, we have to leave it there, but thank you so much for taking our call. That was Matsiriso Lingwasa, chairperson of the Budget Justice Coalition. It is 3 o'clock actually. I'm so used to saying it's 2 o'clock. That's what we've been saying for the last couple of months now. It's 3 o'clock. It is time for us to make way for John, who's still standing in for Ashraf on the National Pulse. We will see you tomorrow, inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again.
If you're active on social media and love SAFM, we hope you'll take a moment to like or follow our SAFM page on Facebook and Twitter. These are the best places to find all the guest information, conversations, and stories you love from your favorite presenters, along with regular updates from SABC News. And don't forget, you can send your questions to feedback@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation.
Top stories at 3 o'clock. Godongwana reduces the inflation target and Israel reopens a key crossing into northern Gaza. Good afternoon. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has decided to reduce the inflation target to 3%. Godongwana says the 3% inflation target is expected to limit government finances in the short term, but reduce the cost of living and borrowing for households. He delivered the medium-term budget policy statement in Cape Town this afternoon.
This new target immediately replaces the previous target range between 3 and 6% and will be implemented over the next 2 years. Over time, the lower target will decrease inflation expectation and inflation creating room for lower inflation and creating room for lower interest rates. This supports household spending and business investment, boosting economic growth and job creation.
Former Ekurhuleni Employee Relations Director Xolani Ngqiza says a letter issued by Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi, who has been suspended, was a serious abuse of authority. Testifying at the Madlanga Commission in Pretoria, Ngqiza revealed that the letter, addressed to whom it may concern, could have allowed private individuals linked to businessman and crime suspect Vusikat Matlala to evade police checks.
This is addressed to whom it may concern. So the bearer of this letter can then claim that I am the whom it may concern. And therefore, note that I have this relationship with this state entity, and my actions are covered under this letter. It's just too wide, and it has potential to create serious problems.
Meanwhile, the DA in Ekurhuleni is calling for the immediate suspensions of the city's head of HR, Linda Xesheka, and head of legal services, Kemi Bihari. This follows allegations from the Madlanga Commission alleging that they actively blocked disciplinary action against Mkhwanazi. DA spokesperson for community safety in Ekurhuleni is Jaco Terblanche.
I want to see they get suspended immediately. And there must be investigation into all appointments made where they are involved in, especially dates with the HR. We already got knowing about 55 appointments that is questionable inside the EMPD. There might be other appointments, other departments where he was also involved in.
Police say 2 women have been shot and killed while sitting in a minibus taxi at the Nyanga taxi rank on the Cape Flats this morning. Police spokesperson FC van Wyk says 8 other passengers that were in the vehicle wounded. He says no arrests have been made as yet.
Crime scene experts are currently at a crime scene in the Nyanga taxi rank, combing the area for clues following a shooting incident earlier this morning. According to reports, several unidentified suspects randomly shot at a taxi, injuring several people. Nyanga police members were dispatched to the shooting incident immediately. There are currently 10 people shot in total, of which 2 females were declared deceased on the scene due to injuries sustained. 7 other females and 1 male were treated for gunshot wounds by the emergency services and taken to nearby medical facilities for treatment.
While further afield, Israel says it's reopened the Key Zikim crossing into northern Gaza to allow humanitarian aid. The bulk of aid entering the territory has previously come through the Kerem Shalom crossing in the south. BBC's Yolande Nell has the details.
The Zikim crossing has been closed for 2 months, preventing direct aid deliveries to the devastated north of Gaza, where the UN's declared famine. In a short statement, Israel's military body, which controls the crossings, said goods would now be taken into Gaza by trucks from the UN and other international organizations after Israeli security inspections. It's not commented on reasons for the original closure.
Recapping the top story, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has decided to reduce the inflation target to 3%. For SAFM News, I'm Utsile Saku, headlines at 3:30.
In sports this hour, Bruce calls for better national team continuity to stop talent drain. De Jager to miss the rest of Bokotor after 4-match ban, and India back on formidable home test record in South Africa series. More details at 3:30.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Bafana and Chipolopolo have a massive meeting on the battlefield. This is not just an international friendly. The two nations are gearing up for the Africa Cup of Nations. Witness the Southern African Derby, South Africa versus Zambia, on Saturday, 15 November at 5:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC2. Then on SABC radio stations at 6 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
You are listening to John Gericka on SFM.
7 minutes past 3 with SAFM. John Gericka in for Ashraf. Good afternoon to you. It is the National Pulse. We're going to give political parties a little bit of time to digest the medium-term budget, and we will get them to react to that later on in the show. So we're going to give them an hour or so. Then we'll talk to a host of political parties and see what their views are on the medium-term budget policy statement as addressed by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana. You heard it live here on SAFM from 2 o'clock. We're going to hear from the MK Party, ACDP, EFF. We're going to hear from IFP, the DA, and we'll probably be able to get hold of the ANC later on towards the end of the show as well. So that's the second hour. And then, as always, final hour is a mixed bag, but also there's this big event happening down in Cape Town. It's the Africa Tech Festival. It's on the go in Cape Town. They're gathering